And I'll be real honest. That first night, I made a phone call to my district manager and said, "Dear God, what did I do?" And I'm crying. And she's like,
What's up, guys? Lift and Love. Lift and Love here. Where did you pull this question from? Why is that? Lift Love. Crochet. We out. What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Lifting Love podcast. You are awesome. Today, our episode is brought to you by Lake Hickory Pub and Marina, where lake and life meet. Subscribe if you haven't here on YouTube. If you're watching this video, if you're in audio, wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future podcast episodes. Today, we got a friend. We got a friend on the podcast. She's the walk director of the Alzhemers Association, Catawba County ambassador, just an overall amazing person. It's my friend, Meredith Willis. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Yeah.
So, you do a lot. You do so many things. So let's just start very basic.
Sure.
For people who don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
Sure. Meredith Willis. I grew up here in Catawba County, down in Newton. I have lived here my entire life, except for a short spout overseas that we can talk about.
Whoa.
But yeah, so I currently work for the Alzhemers Association. I am the walk manager for Western North Carolina, so I cover the Unifor Walk here that covers Catawba, Caldwell, Burke, and Alexander counties. I cover Henderson County and Asheville as well.
So that's a very wide range. I mean, that's like, an hour and a half around, depending on where you're at, location-wise. How do you deal? You probably put a lot of miles on your car.
Put a lot of miles on there, because when you're talking about Hendersonville, that could take you an hour and 45 minutes to get to sometimes. There's one of me. So I rely a lot on volunteers that have a passion for the cause and really utilize those. So we have a committee in each area to help us do that. Because again, I'm one person. I can't be everything. I can't be everywhere.
Even though it seems like some days there's like 5 of you, but
it seems like one to me, but other people might think it's 5.
So let's take it way back.
Yeah.
How does your journey begin? Where were you thinking you were going to be in, like high school, college?
Yeah.
Like, what was that like, and obviously relation to what you're doing now?
Yeah. Well, okay. So real funny. As a kid, my sister and I never played teacher. We played travel agent and flight attendant. We would book your hotels and your flight, and then we would shuttle you off.
Wow.
So anyways, so that's always, it's funny. I always say my dream job is a flight attendant. Don't know if this day and time that'd be that much fun. But yeah, so actually went off to school, got my degree in social work.
Wow.
And so that's kind of how it started. So did social work for several years, got out of that business because there's a lack of social workers, a lack of support, too many cases, workloads are crazy, all the things. Went into the sales role and then ended up kind of full circle, kind of went back to social work. Now I get to work with a population that I think is significantly underlooked at and approached. Not a lot of people want to talk about Alzheimer's and dementia, but to me it's fascinating because we don't have the cure, right? But I get to help these families utilize resources, but I get to be out in the community. I have realized I'm not built to just sit behind a desk all day. Did that, not really my thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So there's a lot to unpack there. Social work is a whole nother. We got a whole podcast about it. We had someone on another episode who was a social worker before they ended up leaving and doing what they do. Underwork, overpaid is the mantra.
Yes, sir. You got it. You nailed it.
And being in what you're doing now, how much has it like just made you like appreciate, like not life, but like appreciate time and appreciate the things you get to do? Because you're not only like trying to fundraise and help find a cure, you're also speaking with people who either are dealing with it, going through it now, family members who have lost somebody. Like, you do much more than just put these walks on and raise money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the walk is just the largest fundraiser for support care and research. But honestly, getting to work side by side with these families, a lot of these volunteers have lost a loved one. They're caring for a loved one. And to see and understand what their journey is and on walk day, because I tell people all the time, as a caregiver, you can feel very lonely because you don't know what's getting ready to happen.
Yeah.
Lots of times I think people get a diagnosis of dementia or Alzheimer's. Unfortunately, the doctor will pat you on the back and say, come back in 6 months or a year. And the family walks out and goes, what now? Like, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for mom? So I think being able to understand that the association is here for you. We have free resources. And when you come to something like the Walk to End Alzheimer's, that day, everyone carries a different colored flower in significance to your connection to the cause. So for instance, yellow is caregiver. So like I said, it can be very lonely being a caregiver, but when you're there that day and you see all of these other yellow flowers, it's like, gosh, I'm not in the same boat. We're all here together. We're trying to navigate this ugly and nasty disease that we don't have a cure for, and that we're trying to fight to get closer to a cure.
It's definitely incredible work that you guys do, and I know, was it last year or the year before you guys raised the most amount of money that you've ever done? What was like? So let's full scale.
Sure.
What goes into a walk? Such a broad question.
What does it? That is a broad question. So again, it's sponsorships. And not just it's that partnership with the sponsors. So how is Alzheimer's or dementia affecting your employees, right? So actually, I'll share something that one of our facts. So 57 of employed caregivers either go in late, call in sick, or take time off because they're a caregiver. 57%.
Wow.
I mean, that's insane. And then you think about, what they call the sandwich generation, right? So people that are still caregiving for a loved one, but they're also trying to raise children under the age of 18. 25% of people are doing that in the world. So anyways, trying to get people to understand the connection, but then sponsorships, then you've got to have a walk location, then you've got to have a walk route. Oh, what the amount of volunteers that you have to have, right? Because we hear all the time, I never knew the Alzheimer's Association existed. I wish I would have known when mom was still alive or whoever. Well, we're here and we've been around forever, but people don't know that. So again, I help rely on my volunteers and my committees to help spread the word. What are we doing? What are we doing as an association? What are we doing as walk participants? How can you fundraise? What kind of fundraisers can you do?
Yeah.
Spreading the word around town, So there's a lot that goes into it, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. Who knew that a walk manager is loading and unloading a storage unit and driving a U-Haul truck? Did I ever think I was doing that for work? Nope, but here I am.
And how long have you been with Alzheimer's Association? 3.5
years.
Wow. And what were you doing before? Like, let's go back now.
Let's go back. Okay, so oh gosh, what was I doing right before that? Oh, right before that, I actually worked with Sure Tape. I've had several things. So I worked for Sure Tape, actually twice, doing inside sales. If you go way back, so again, straight out of college, went into social work, found that Child Protective Services was not my thing. I changed over to a program called CAP. It's basically for adults that are 18 years or older, Medicaid eligible, and deemed nursing home, skilled nursing level of care or more.
Wow.
And so we keep them in their home to be able to live safely versus having to go into a facility.
Gotcha.
Found my love for the senior community that way, right? Just give me a little mama and papa and want to hug on them all day long. So did that, but as you said before, underpaid, one of the things for social workers. So I got a part-time job at Bath and Body Works through the holidays. Earn some extra money, have some extra cash. Leads down the road 6 months later, I end up leaving social work and going into that full time.
Wow.
Not on my bingo card, did I think, but I thought I always have my social work degree. I can back that up. I can fall back on that later and come back to it, should that be the advantage I take or the direction I take. So did that. Worked in the Hickory store, then went to go manage Morganton location. And then there was this amazing opportunity. And Bath and Body Works International says, we're going to open up stores internationally. We need some people to basically be an ambassador for us. We're going to ensure that the stores are up and running like they do here, as close as possible. Are we matching the marketing to the marketing in that population? And are they still getting the same experience when they come into the store? And that was in the Middle East.
So wait, so they just put out like a blanket statement to every employee, or was it like, did they have people like picked?
No, it was a blanket statement.
I guess with that big of a change, like,
yeah,
you never know who would say yes, because I mean, probably having tens of thousands of employees, maybe 15 say yes.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just be honest. I'll never forget the email. I can remember seeing that email, and it was like, we're opening up stores in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Kuwait. And I was like, ooh, wait a minute. Hold on, let me think about this. And I was like, this seems interesting. And I was at a time in my life that I kind of needed a big change. I needed to find who I was. Stuck in some ruts, some relationships that I probably should not have been in. And I'll never forget calling my district manager and saying, I think I'm going to apply for this job. And she said, do you understand what this means? Like, you're living in the Middle East. And I was like, I do. And she said, then I totally back you up on that.
What was it like applying for that? Because I mean, that's got to be, you got to get to a certain point mentally to be like, I'm going to leave everything here and I'm going to go. I mean, it's a different time zone. It's hours away. It's, I mean, like, what was going through your head when you actually hit that apply button?
Oh, different time zone. Well, first of all, I didn't realize until you go over there that it felt like it was a different planet. But yeah, I mean, I was just, I guess, I don't know. I'll be real honest. I don't know if I really thought about all of that. I think probably the hardest part was knowing that I have a very close family. We do a lot together.
And what year was this? I'm sorry. What year was this?
2012.
Okay.
So, I mean, not forever ago, but
yeah,
sometimes feels like forever ago. Yeah.
I was thinking just like the tension. I mean, the tension in the Middle East is still there, but it wasn't like the heightened that it was like post 9/11.
No. Yeah, it had already died down some. And quite honestly, when I applied for that, I really just thought there's no chance. Like,
wait, hold on. You get the email, you apply, and in your head, you're like, not a shot. I get it.
Yeah, that's just sometimes my mentality. I'm like, yeah, I probably am never going to get this call back, but I'm going to do it because here's and this fast forward when I did get the position. It was one of those things that take the chance in life, right? Because if you don't, it's going to be a what if. And I thought, okay, I'm going to apply for this. Well, lo and behold, they're like, hey, why don't you come? Let's chit-chat on the phone. We chatted on the phone, and they were like, come up to Columbus, Ohio, which is home office, and let's have an in-person interview. And I was like, oh, this is getting serious now.
Oh, so let me ask you. So you go to the interview. Did they offer it to you on the spot? And if they didn't, when did you know that you were going to get that position? Like, did you have a feeling that after that interview you crushed so well that you were like, I got it if I want it?
Well, I don't know if I've thought about it quite like that, but I did leave there thinking, I think I feel good about this. And there wasn't anything I could have changed, right?
Yeah.
I didn't go, I wish I would have said this or I wish I would have done that. I just felt good leaving. And, it was shortly after that, maybe 2 weeks after that when I got the phone call.
First instant thought that went through your head.
Dear God, what did I do?
What? Oh my gosh. What happened?
Yeah. Well, okay. So again, like I said, it was Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Kuwait. Well, let's just say out of those three, where are you going to want to go? You want to go to Dubai, right? Yeah. Well, I got the word that you got the job, but you're going to be in Kuwait. And I was like,
rough.
Okay, embrace this.
Yeah.
Let's see what this is about.
Change.
It's change, right?
And real quick, at this point, how long have you been with the company?
I was at that point probably with the company 6 years, 5 years.
So
five.
to say you were comfortable in your role.
Yes.
You were you were comfortable,
Yeah.
content with where you were and everything like that. It was
Yes.
really just kind of like, I want a big change. And
I needed change.
Yeah.
It was, sometimes when you think about your life and you really start to analyze it, you're like, God, I really need a change. I need to figure out who I am. And I thought this is the perfect opportunity. Gone through some rough things. And if you want to do that, move to another country by yourself. You'll find yourself real quick.
So when did it feel real? Because I know I talk to people who do massive changes, and usually it doesn't feel real until it actually happens.
Ooh,
so
yeah.
like you walk into that store.
So here's what we did.
Go ahead.
We actually, so they said, by the way, this was like in October. And they were like, November, we're opening up the store in Kuwait and we need you to fly with us.
Oh, okay. So all this, and you have less than a month to prepare.
But just for like a 10-day, 2-week visit, something like that. Okay. So I was like, all right, I got this. So I'm leaving my store. I'm like, going to go over there with the international team. I mean, I had a passport. Well, actually, you know what? I didn't. I had to get a passport. I had gone on cruises and things like that where you didn't need one then.
Yeah, you have like the excursions, but you're not like
right,
staying there.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I had to go get a passport. Luckily, listen, that company was great. They paid for my passport. They paid for, we flew business class where you get to lounge back in the seat.
I mean, with a long flight like that, to fly economy, you're going to be hurting.
Oh my gosh, yes. Because I would fly from Charlotte to DC, and then it's a 12-hour flight from DC to Kuwait, nonstop. So I go over there, and I'll be real honest. That first night, I made a phone call to my district manager and said, "Dear God, what did I do?" And I'm crying, and she's like, "It's okay. We're going to work through this. You'll be fine. Meredith, you've been there less than 24 hours. I got you. So it was hard, right? And I'll be honest, after those 10 days, so we went there, we went over to Dubai, checked on some stores there that had just opened.
Dang, they gave you a little teaser of the store you're not going to be at.
Right?
10
but it's
times
okay.
better.
It's 10.
So it worked out.
It worked out. And I'll be honest, I can remember walking with Tony Garrison, who was the vice president of International Middle East.
Wow.
And down the airport back in DC. And he said, "So are you going to do this?" And I said, "Tony, I don't know." And he says, "Think about it. It's okay." He was so supportive. But I thought to myself, if you don't do this, you're going to say, what if? This is a once-in-a-lifetime experience. You're never going to get back. It's not an easy process. Like I said, that was in November, and it took me from, let's just say December. Let's fast forward to December until May for me to get all my paperwork aligned to be able to go over there and work. Multiple trips to DC, to the embassy, to figure things out. And then when I went, they were like, so here's what's going to happen. You're going to fly. You're going to have a guy at airport that's going to hold up a little sign that has your name on it. And you have temporary housing for 30 days. And then you can find your own housing. Okay.
I have a random question. Did it come with a pretty good raise?
So when you work, it's a tax-free country. So, and I will say they paid for my housing, things like that. So I was still employed by the company here. However, I had to work technically under MHL Shia who were the ones that owned it over there. So that's how I got paid, which was tax-free. I mean, I'm living rent-free over there, and I'm getting paid tax-free. So
wait, so not only after you said temporary housing, they also help pay for your permanent housing?
For my permanent housing, Bath and Body Works just said find somewhere and we'll pay for it.
Oh, yeah. Hey, listen, if y'all trying to fly me out, I got you. I'll work. What you want me to do?
Yeah,
yeah.
And let's just be honest. It took me a good probably 4 or 5 months. I mean, I was crying almost every single day. And I'll never forget making a phone call to my parents one night to Skype. And my mom said, well, do you need me to come over? And I was like, I need my mom to come over here. And the next day I'm like, Mom, will you please come? And then the next day she was like, yeah. So I booked a ticket for a month. And I was like, oh, we're doing this for a month.
Welcome to culture shock.
Right. But it was exactly what I kind of needed, right? I needed that at home. Now, the good thing is the apartment that I picked was in a small apartment complex with about 26 apartments. And 5 or 6 of those were Department of Defense guys. I know it sounds crazy, but they became my brothers and they became my dad. I had a guy there that was a couple years old. My dad, he had 2 sons, never had a daughter. Still to this day, we call each other. I talked to him yesterday on the phone. Hey, daughter. Hey, dad. What's going on? He's back here. He's back in the States now. He and his wife live up in Pennsylvania. But yeah, I mean, so it was I had a family there, right? Here's what I realized is once I started changing my mindset, embracing the culture, and learning about everything and saying, you know what? I'm here to do a job and a mission. And we knew it wasn't going to be easy, right? I am an American female, and I'm trying to tell Arab men how to run a business. How do you think that went over?
I can tell you how it went over not too well.
Not too well. So we did have to make some changes with some managers and things like that, right? But once I got that core team in place and realized it made it a lot easier. But I enjoyed my time there. I would not trade it for the world.
And how long were you actually there for? From like living permanently there?
A little over a year. And they tried to get me when my time was up. They tried to get me to stay on, move to Dubai, and basically be like a district manager for a sister brand. And I was going to have to sign a 2-year contract.
How different life would look right now.
Listen.
Because
I'll tell you why.
Go ahead.
I would not be sitting at this table.
I know you wouldn't. You'd be living the good life in Dubai.
That's right. And I knew that should I sign a 2-year contract, I was never coming back to the States.
And hold on, Dubai was tax-free as well?
Yes.
Tax-free rent? You wouldn't even be working anymore. You'd be living off of your stocks and your portfolio.
Listen, it's crazy. But here's what I do appreciate. I do appreciate the fact that my role was in Kuwait, right?
Yeah.
So it's a lot more traditional than UAE, where Dubai is at. You go to UAE, you go to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, you can get anything you want at the tip of your fingers. Now, would I fly from there to Dubai? It was like flying from here to Miami, right? So I went and saw the Eagles in concert front row. So I would fly back and forth. Plus, in Kuwait, alcohol and pork is illegal because that's not for Muslims.
Wow.
So,
and then in Dubai is just this complete
yes.
It's like the Manhattan of
oh my gosh,
over there.
Take Manhattan, the Hamptons, Disney World, put it on steroids, and then you have it.
It's unbelievable.
And
go ahead.
Do you remember the district manager that I told you? I thought, what did I just do?
Yeah.
After I came back about a year later, she went over there. She's still there 10 years later.
And she took the job that you were in?
No, it was a different role, still with the company. Her husband, she moved over there, and they actually just bought 6 months ago, probably. They just bought a place over there. They're never moving back. And I said, I told you so.
Let's talk real quick, and we can keep it brief. How do you regret not taking that position?
No.
Is it ever a thought in your mind of like what life would look like?
Oh yeah. Yes. No. I go, here's the thing. I would have never met my husband. Maybe I would have met somebody else, but my life wouldn't be the same.
Maybe a prince.
Maybe a prince. I don't know. People are like, you could have been an Arab princess, But, again, I'm so close to my family. It was hard to leave. You know, when you have family members that are getting older, they're aging, it's from somebody who's very close to their family, that's very hard to be away. Because you're not jumping on a plane coming home for the weekend. I mean, it's a 12-hour plus flight by the time you do 2 flights. So, I mean, do I think sometimes, gosh, where would I be now? Yeah, but I wouldn't have the life that I did today. And I would have learned life lessons, but they would look a little bit different, probably, should I have stayed.
That's so cool that you had that experience. All right, so you come back.
I come back.
What is life like? Did you end up leaving the company, or did you end up working back here with the company?
No, I stayed with the company, working back here for about another maybe year and a half or 2 years. And then
you could just went to 2 years to Dubai. Come on,
right?
Man.
I could have, man.
I'm just
Don't
kidding.
make me question it now.
I'm just kidding. Call them back like, hey, y'all still hiring?
But that's right. But yeah, again, life lessons. You realize that in that time period, what you thought was hard is not so hard anymore. You learned about how strong of a person that you can be. Because who just goes to a different country not knowing a single soul?
I know somebody.
There we go. Me. So, yeah, moved back here, stayed with the company for another year and a half, 2 years. Decided, okay, I'm ready to get out of retail. A lot of weekends, a lot of holidays.
Retail will burn you out.
Good money, but will burn you out.
For sure.
So, decided to go into sales, took a couple different sales positions, and then just knew I'm ready. I was ready for another change. And I happened to look on Indeed one night when I finally said, just look on Indeed. Let's see what happens. Yeah. And this was the first position that popped open. And I said,
hold up. You're coming straight off of this.
No. I'm sorry. I had several sales roles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was like,
straight off of this right to the, I'm like,
no.
Wow, what a change.
I did furniture for a while. Then I worked several years, like I said, with probably a total of about 6 years, maybe with Sure Tape.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, and then decided, again, I need to kind of be out from behind the desk.
Yeah.
And this was the first thing that popped open. And it's always been a fascination of mine. Like I said, I can remember maybe I was in college doing my internship or something. And the Alzheimer's Association was putting on a day-long program where you could go learn about it, learn about the association, learn different things about Alzheimer's and dementia. And I remember leaving there that day thinking, gosh, this is fascinating, right? Because we don't have a cure.
No.
Like, this is so interesting. And I was, in social work at that point, and so straight out of college, and I was able to actually practically apply some of the things that the association was suggesting that we do. Simple things. It's not what they teach you when you're getting your social work degree, but it's real life.
Wow. It seems kind of like all roads led to the position that you're at now. Mm-hmm. Kind of incorporates a little bit of everything, right? You kind of, with all the roles you've had, and I mean in retail, but being in retail overseas and doing all stuff, you kind of have to learn how to talk to a wide range of people.
Oh yeah.
So like, when did you first get this role, and what was that like? Were you like nervous or anxious at all about it?
Sure. I think anytime you take a new position, you're a little nervous or anxious.
Really?
I do. Just because there's still like, again, you can read the job description, but to practically apply that is something different.
100%.
Right? There's, my role in it does, I say the retail hours were crazy, but this is crazy too. It's not every holiday and every weekend, but there's sometimes that I have an event up in Henderson County or Hendersonville until 8 o'clock at night, and then I'm driving back down, right? Or I have to be up there at 8 o'clock in the morning for a meeting. Or during walk season, let's just be honest, there's 17 walks across North Carolina. There are 6 walk managers, and so we have to help each other out, right? Because when you're talking about putting on an event, the size of what we put one on. So here in the Unifor area at the Crawdad Stadium in Hickory, our goal this year is to have 555 participants there.
Wow.
That's a lot of people.
And what's the goal of raising money on that one?
$100,000. Yes. So 2 years ago, 2023, our goal was to raise $50,000. Again, this money goes into support, care, and research. Everything that we do is free. We raised $82,820. Last year, we said, okay, we're going to do $100,000. Well, our walk season is in October, September, October. What happened on September 27th of 2023? Hurricane Helene.
Oh, it did happen. I forgot.
So when you look at my walks, I had Hendersonville the week before. Okay, it's safe, right? Asheville was supposed to be the week after the hurricane.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. Not even come close. And then we have a month later the walk here in Hickory. Well, let's be honest. A lot of people were then shifting their donations to Western North Carolina, as they should have been, right? This place is still in devastation. I go up there all the time. I see something different all the time. I see where, man, there's not been any progress to a certain area, or a little bit over here. So they should have. But the money shifted. So we didn't quite get to that amount. What was funny is we raised $82,850. So $30 more than we did the year before.
And only 30. A hurricane?
Yeah. So I do believe that we could have gotten there, right? So this is going to be the year that we're going to hit 100,000, no doubt.
So let's talk about the Alzheimer's Association.
Yeah.
We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier.
Sure.
When you first got the position, what did you think the role was? Because I feel like when you get into it, it's like, there's a lot of, logistics happening, but there's probably also a lot of education that's happening. Yeah. How much were you anticipating that? And like, how much did you actually have to learn about Alzheimer's when you got into it?
So you do a deep dive. Listen, you can go to the website and get lost for hours or days. and I've done that, right? Just to educate myself.
Yeah.
You'll see now there's a lot more that's on the news about it and things. I think probably with this role, I didn't realize how much of the logistics part I was actually going to do. Again, I didn't know I was going to be driving a U-Haul. I didn't know I was going to be lifting all these, 50-pound things and running around and getting that many volunteers for walk day. But the good news is I do have my programs partner, Denise, lives in Hendersonville. She does all of the programs. So if I know of a company or a church or an organization that says, hey, I want to learn more about Alzheimer's, and I think if we had a program here of knowing the top 10 signs, I have Denise connected with that person, and she does that program. Yeah. So at least do our paths cross all the time, right? It's a partnership. It's like knowing what my left hand is doing to my right hand. We have to work together in this because one single person is not going to make the difference. We've got to make this a group effort. I say that Alzheimer's and dementia is what cancer was 30 or 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Back then, people didn't want to admit that they had cancer. They didn't want to talk about it because there really wasn't a cure that much. There was a little bit. Now, there's more cures. Do they always work? No. But at least you have a chance. You have a fighting chance. This is kind of where we're at with Alzheimer's and dementia. I find a lot of people that say, we're not telling anybody that dad has Alzheimer's, or dad doesn't want to tell anybody, right? Because unfortunately what happens is when you get that diagnosis and then you start sharing that, if you're diagnosed, those people are going to start talking to your wife because they don't think you're capable. Well, you're still capable of having the conversation. It might be years before you're not able to.
Yeah.
But I think there's almost like a little stigma that comes with it, unfortunately.
So just like a lot of misconceptions about someone having dementia. Just because you are diagnosed doesn't mean that you automatically can't remember anything.
Correct. So, and what people also don't understand is, I'll explain. So you've got dementia. Think of dementia as your umbrella, right? And then there's different forms of dementia that come off of that umbrella. And I like to think of the handle as Alzheimer's because it's the most common form of dementia. So people always are saying, like, what's the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's? My mom has a form of dementia. It's called NPH, normal pressure hydrocephalus, but we can control it with a shunt right now. It's a very rare form of dementia, and it's due to extra fluid on your brain. But the shunt in and it drains. Lots of complications can come with that. We're battling a knee infection right now, which is throwing the shunt off some too. And but she can hold a conversation like you and I until we've had this. She can again now, but we were having this knee complication. There was a day that she couldn't tell you what year it was, who the president was, what the month was, anything. So, there's. And you'll see a lot of celebrities now are coming out with it, right? You hear of, Bruce Willis.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure he has it, right?
Yeah. And so, the awareness is a little bit more prominent and out there. But again, we're still trying to find the cure. We've got over 210,000 people in North Carolina living with Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So what do you think about caregivers? That means
I'm so sorry. Do you have an active stat for like the country, or is it you just know North Carolina?
Yeah, so it's over 7 million.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my good. Grand scheme of things, 330 million people, 7 million. That's still a chunk of the population.
So Alzheimer's, more people die with that than breast cancer and colon cancer combined.
Holy crap.
I know. Think about that.
Because like the thing is like all the, and I lost my aunt to breast cancer, and my grandmother beat her breast cancer twice. So I guess there is just more of like, I only had like one direct contact of someone that I knew who had Alzheimer's, but like I could think of 15 people that I knew, or like my family knew, that was family, friends, and close, that has it or has suffered from it. So I get it. It's definitely like a connection thing. It's like people can associate with that, but I didn't even know that stat.
Yeah,
that's
and so
wild.
and I always like to say, if I'm presenting to a group, I always say, raise your hand if you've known somebody, you've been a caregiver, you're currently a caregiver, you've known a relative or a neighbor with Alzheimer's or dementia. And I can guarantee you at least 80% of the people in the room are going to raise their hand. I had a roundtable meeting with about 20 people a couple of weeks ago. Every single person in that room raised their hand.
Oh my gosh.
It's unbelievable. Again, we don't want to talk about it a lot. There's, like, well, we don't want them to know. They might not remember me. But
it's like such a prideful thing too, and it's hard. It's hard. You don't want to be judged. You don't want to feel less than. There's a lot of things that go into it, but it's just something that's completely out of your control. And there's also like what you guys do. There's resources out there. I think that's a huge part of also what you do. Like you're an advocate for it. Like, yes, maybe like, we're raising money for a cure and that can't directly help them right this second, but you can advocate for them. You can educate and maybe your blessing in all this is you do the walk, you bring two people together who become friends, and that takes the stress off, and they're both caretakers. Or, I mean, whatever that looks like, that's got to feel amazing as far 100%. As like bringing people together.
100%. And when you are there that day, and like I said, you have all these different colored flowers. You have orange, which means, hey, I don't have a direct connection, but I'm here to serve the cause. There's yellow, means you're a caregiver. Purple means you've lost someone. And then you have some blue flowers. Those blue flowers are people living with Alzheimer's or dementia. Then we have one white flower in the entire walk, usually held by a child. And that white flower represents the first survivor in the future for Alzheimer's or dementia. So it does. It gives you chills. We share some stories that day. People are share their story. We have Queen City News weather lady. She's out there as our MC that day. Again, there are hundreds of people out there. But when you go to our website, what people don't understand is everything that we do is free. So like I said, we have free support groups. We have a hotline that you can call that's 365 days a year, 24/7. That can be resources on tips and tricks. Mom's out in the snow, how to get her in. Won't take a bath, how to do that. Legal advice, what's the next stages of what we're getting ready to go through. You name it, we can help you out with that. And we can connect you with local resources as well.
And that's just like I said, that's just got to feel so amazing. And like I don't currently. I mean, we had a family friend who passed away, unfortunately, from it. So like it's just one of those things. I think with any disease, it's really like until it hits close to home. Like, you don't even think about it. Like, and it's unfortunate.
Right.
It is unfortunate, but realistically, like, that's how it is. And then once you deal with it, then it's like, wow, this is this prominent thing that I would really love to know more about. But, like, you're out in the community and, like, and I want to touch on the chamber stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, an ambassador, because I feel like you're literally at every single networking event possible. Even at things that I don't expect you to be at. All of a sudden, here comes Meredith. I'm like, what? How? What? You're here. Okay. So, like, the advocacy is so huge.
It is.
Is there anything that you guys do outside of the walks that people can like go to, like whether it's a class or like you were talking about a round table? Like how can people find out more information about that?
So you can go to alz.org. If you do / North Carolina, you can find the local North Carolina resources. Okay. So we also have an advocacy side too. So we have someone that heads that up and they go advocate at their local communities, government levels. They go to Raleigh, they go to DC, they advocate with different politicians on, hey, this bill's going to come to the floor. This is what it means, right?
And so this isn't just a North Carolina thing. This is across the country.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So, and then we also have community educators. So let's say, I tell you one great resource is someone who has either lived through this, like dealing with a loved one or a retired school teacher. There's one of Denise to do all of these programs. Yeah. So we train people and she helps train people and we give you all the materials that you need to be a community educator. And we say, hey, Sally, we have Church ABC that wants a program. I'm not available. Are you there? Absolutely. I can do that day. And so they go out and do those community education programs for us. So many different ways to get involved, whether it's through sponsorship, whether it's through forming a team and fundraising, a program, advocacy, or being a community educator.
One thing I want to touch on before we talk about the Catawba ambassadors. What's been the biggest lesson that you've learned in the position that you currently hold?
Life is short. Love your loved ones while you can and capture the memories. You see lots of times, I see recently on like Amazon and things, there's these little card games or notebooks that people we'll say having your grandparents or your parents fill out, and it's about their life history. Because once you realize that they're gone or they're unable to remember some things, then it's gone. Your family history is gone. Spend the time with your loved ones while you have them, and while they're mentally capable of doing that, because you never know. I mean, early onset, we're seeing a lot more cases. Early onset is 65 and younger. People diagnosed at 50 years old with early onset Alzheimer's.
What's the earliest that you've seen?
Around 50. It will start, though, as early as 45.
That's insane. Time is short, and it's unbelievable. Like, life is so precious.
It is. And I'll tell you one thing that I've realized. TikTok, go on there and search. There's some great content people out there with a TikTok that's sharing their current life story with their loved one that has Alzheimer's and dementia. And it's not, it kind of upsets me sometimes. You'll see some of these comments and they're like, why are you exploiting your loved one like that? Why are you we're not. We're showing the daily life of what it's like to be a caregiver to someone like this. The daily struggles that these people are having, whether it be not having the right resources or what.
It's unbelievable. It really is. It definitely makes you. So last week we had a cancer. So she has a lady who has a cancer.
Yep.
There's no cure for it. So
Yep.
Similar. She has to live with it the rest of her life. I forgot the name of it. It's like metastatic. I'm really blanking on the name right now. Incredible story. And it's like her outlook on life changed my complete perception of not only cancer, but like any disease out there that someone has to live with. She was positive, happy. She turned her struggle and her story into something so good. Like, she has this company where she literally sends out inspiration to people who have what she has and cancer in general. And like, you're not alone. And I think a big thing what you guys do is making people, especially obviously the people who have Alzheimer's, but a big part of this community is the caretakers.
Absolutely.
That don't get as much support as they should, who kind of get looked over. That's like the huge part that you guys fill. And to be in that position, in those shoes, is one of the hardest things to do, because not only do you have to watch your loved one deteriorate right in front of you, literally,
yeah,
and mentally, physically, cognitively, but you also still have to take care of that person. So you're working like two jobs at the same time.
It is, and especially if it's a parent, right?
Unbelievable.
You all of a sudden become the parent.
Yeah.
And people, I think too, one of the hardest things when you're a caregiver and they're in these stages where what they're saying is wrong and you're trying to correct them. Don't let them, it's very hard, because your natural reaction is, Mom, that does not go there. Now, you know that, right? Or do you remember when we talked about such and such? No, they don't, right? And if they want to go on that journey, then go on that journey with them. Yeah. If they're living their life on a cruise ship, they think, hey, have fun, go with the trip, live on the cruise ship with them. Yeah. Like, stop trying to correct. And music can calm a soul lots of times.
I would like to talk about the chamber and all the networking stuff. I feel like you're just like doing everything. So you're a chamber ambassador.
Yep.
With the Catawba Chamber.
Yep.
And first off, in a position that you're in, I mean, networking is everything. Knowing the right people to call when you need stuff, meeting new people who can bring ideas or bring energy, or maybe they know someone that can help, however that looks. How important has networking been? And specifically, how much has the Catawba County Chamber helped you?
Extremely important. I mean, honestly, I'll be real honest. I don't think we would have gotten to 82,000 had it not been for my connections throughout the chamber. Yeah. And little and big connections, right? To me, when you go to a networking event, it's not about gathering a business card, right? It's about building a connection with that person. I can take your business card and put it in my belt pocket all day, but how am I going to actually utilize that? Right? Because you never know what person is going through that same journey that you're just sitting here talking about. You know, how can you make that connection? And it's about building relationships, not just making a connection and taking a card and networking. Yeah. Right. And I love how Lindsay always says we're net giving, right? What can I do to help you? Not I need all the time. And it's so easy to do. And people say all the time, you're always involved in everything. Yeah, I am, but I love it. Right? When are you going to slow down? Not anytime soon, you know, because again, that's loving your community, being invested in your community, knowing your community and what's available. Otherwise, you're just waking up and going to sleep every day, right? So what are we doing to invest back in our community? I love my community. I love my hometown. I love this area. One day when I retire, maybe I'm moving to the beach, but gosh, it's going to be hard, right?
Or Dubai,
yeah. So, my family's family grew up here, I have a grandfather. I had a grandfather who was City of Hickory fire chief and on city council, and he was always giving back. And I had another set of grandparents that are always giving back to their community, always helping Austin at the soup kitchen. My uncle is the same way. So I grew up knowing you get out of your community what you give to them, right? Whatever you're putting in, you're going to get back out. You've just got to do the work.
It's just so beautiful because you're always somewhere. And I think the cool thing about it is yes, you get to be in your community here, but you also get to grow other communities as well. I always mess up the name Hendersonville. It's yes. Asheville, right? Right outside of Asheville.
Right outside of Asheville. Yeah.
So are you also doing all this stuff how you're doing here out there?
Yeah. Now I'm not involved with the chambers up there, but yes,
is that something that you want to do in the future?
Yeah, but it's hard when I live in this community and trying to get involved in those type of things. I try to get involved in other networking events and things there too.
Is there a potential to maybe bring on a volunteer or an intern or an ambassador?
Oh yeah.
Someone who lives out there that is always volunteering to spread the word
out
there.
And again, we have volunteers in every city that we're having these walks in areas. So I have a group in Hendersonville, I have a group at Asheville, and I have a group here in Hickory, or the Unifor area. And again, we changed the name when I came on several years ago. It used to be the Hickory Walk to End Alzheimer's. We all know that it needs to be changed to Unifor because other little cities are not going to participate. So again, knowing your community, and I hear people all the time, are you just going to run for mayor? Nope, not yet. Nope.
I mean, you might have the votes. I'm just saying.
I think one of my best investments from the association, and personally too, though, is being involved with the chamber.
Yeah, I mean, it's been great for me too. I love it. It's been awesome. So many people. There is a funny story that I actually want to tell you because I don't know if I've ever told you.
Okay.
So when I first met you, I don't know if you know this or not, but you got me my first paying gig.
No, I did not.
My first actual freelance gig.
Yeah.
So at that point, I still wasn't fully into doing social media for people. It started actually 2 or 3 months after I first got into the chamber. So I was doing freelance work and I was just literally shooting anything I could. Yeah. Most of my stuff I did for free at that point. And then you were I have a connection with I believe it was the golf course, right? Yeah, the golf course.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And I don't know if you ever even knew, but you got me my first.
I forgot about that.
Gig.
You're right. Yes, it was with Lake Hickory Country Club.
Yeah.
And I believe it was member guest weekend or member weekend, and they needed some people to shoot some things. And it was member guest. That's right.
Yeah. That was awesome. Then your husband yelled at me for.
Oh God! Sorry about that.
So the camera had the clicker on it.
Gosh.
I was so green at this. I found out that you can take it off.
Yeah.
Didn't know that at the time. So this thing is obnoxiously loud. So he's like, would you mind? I'm like,
Listen,
my bad.
I'll give you a better crowd to come out with, and because they get real serious. I started helping about 4 years ago. I helped create the ladies golf sip and swing. Sip and swing. It was a group of ladies that I said, listen, we want to learn to play golf better, right? We don't want to be all serious. So you can snap pictures all you want at us. And the clicker's not going to bother. We may skip some holes and then we go in and eat. And that's what I love. Again, people are like, I had a lady last week tell me this. She is going to join the group this year, and I was trying to talk one of her really good friends into it that was sitting there at dinner with her. And she said, you know what I just told your husband was that I feel like you just want people to connect and get together.
Because that's all it's about.
That is, right?
Life is short, and you never know who somebody is.
That's right. And so and I'm like, yes. So in this golf group, we have as young as 27-year-old, and our oldest is 75. It's just about going and having fun. I want everybody to feel included. And these ladies are like, I'm really bad. And I'm like, good, because if you're really good, you can't participate in this group.
There is no championship.
Yes, but we might just do some fun things this year. And I think it would be fun to shoot a little video or something. It might be on the books later.
We should do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. I also have gotten a lot better at photography since then too. And it's so funny. Like I look back at that gig, and that kind of really did set off like my freelance thing. And I mean, I don't do it as much anymore, even though I did just book. I had my first wedding this past year.
Ooh, awesome!
Oh my god, it was incredible. I would. I'm not gonna say this out loud because people might take me up on it, but screw it. I would do weddings for free. They're so much fun.
They are. They can be a lot of fun.
I was there 15 hours that day.
Yeah.
Had so much fun. It was a blast. It didn't even feel like I worked. I mean, the edit was a lot, but like, it was incredible. Anyway, that looking back now, it's like so funny to like see how crappy all that content was compared to what I can do now. It's so funny.
But that's
it's so
just
funny.
growth, right?
It's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like growth is everything.
It is.
Yeah, I didn't know if you knew that, so I just wanted to say that.
I forgot. Well, thank
you. So last couple things here.
Yeah.
It just seems like you have like this joy for life, and you might be like, well, doesn't everybody? Not a lot of people do. There's, I'm not one of those people, so I don't know what it's like. But there's, you wake up in the morning, you do something that you love. At least it seems like you absolutely love what you do. Where did that come from? Was that something that after a while you just learned, or did this new role really help you? Like, man, I really got to appreciate life a little more.
I don't know. I think probably it's always a little bit, right? Always been with me. I've always wanted to be a connector. I've always tried to be a positive person. Yeah. What's the negative going to get you? Although sometimes my sister or my parents may disagree and be like, she was very negative. But there's, again, like you said, everybody goes through something. Right? There were some times in my life that, man, I did not have it together. And I probably was pretty sad and miserable. But you've got to find out what makes you happy in life, what is going to drive you. And I love making connections. I love getting to know people. I love being out and about. And listen, if you're just going to be negative, what's it going to do? It's not going to do anything for you. It's not going to make you happy. It's not going to be the people around you happy either. They're going to be miserable. So why not turn it around? Listen, it's a 75 degrees day. It's sunny today. I'm sitting with you on a podcast. Like, life is good. Just make it yours.
Then the last two things for you, life, right?
Yeah.
What do the next 5 to 10 years look like for you? Like, where do you envision yourself? What do you feel like could happen? I mean, obviously staying with, on brand with the Alzheimer's Association. Yeah. What does that look like? I mean, if your goal's 100,000 this year, I mean, we're going to be pushing $250,000 at some point. Like,
fingers crossed. Yeah.
Not only with the association, but with you in life in general. Next 5, 10 years, what are you thinking?
Gosh, I always hate that question, Lenny. But only because, listen, I wish I had the magic ball. Yeah. Did I ever think that I would be living in the Middle East? Lord, no. Like, never crossed my mind. Am I glad I did it? 1,000%. So I think to me, it's you never turn down a chance, right? Because there's always the what if. Yeah. My dad even told me the other day, you know, you're in it to like, let's see, what was his quote? Something like, you'll try anything once. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to try anything, right? What's the worst that can happen? You don't like it. Okay. No big deal. So I just think that you can't sometimes, I don't like to necessarily set a timeline on myself, right? Because I think everybody grows at a different pace. And you never know what door will open the next day, right? Where is this going to lead to? Maybe something completely different years down the road. You never know. What we're doing today may lead to something bigger and better 5 years or 3 years or 10 years. You never know. So I don't really know. Do I see myself still in the community? Absolutely. Do I see myself still being involved with multiple either nonprofits or connecting or anything like that? Absolutely. I wouldn't trade that for the world.
No. I'd love it.
That's just me.
It's just like so. It is. It's just so you. That's
and
just
it's you know, I have to say, so it's so funny. It cracks me up. My sister will be always like, you're always the person that wants to go and do this and that and be around people all the time. And you'll go to dinner with people and then you're coming home and they're back at your house and you're always the party planner. You want to host an event. And I'm like, yeah, why not? She's like, no, I'm going to be in my pajamas. I'm home. And I'm like, nope, not me. I'm going to be out there. Let's have fun, everybody. You never who you're going to meet.
So the absolute last thing I got for you. Yep. It's a question we end off the podcast with everybody. For someone watching this right now, what's the best piece of life advice that you can give to them?
Take the chance. Again, I've said that numerous times here. If you don't take the chance, and you'll have the what if. Take the chance. You never know what it will lead to, whether it's one networking event, one party that you don't want to go to. I'm not talking a rave. I'm just talking about a party, a get together. One event that you're just like, I signed up for this, but now I don't want to go. You never know who's there that can literally change your life. And
then absolute last thing.
Yep.
First off, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time being on here at the Lifting Love podcast. Lastly, how can people get involved? They want to volunteer. They want to donate. They want to come to an upcoming event. How can people get involved with the Alzheimer's Association?
Go to alz.org. You can research from there. If you want to email me to learn more about local volunteer opportunities, you can email me. It's MM as in Meredith Willis, WILLIS at alz.org.
Boom. Go support the Alzheimer's Association. And you don't even have to live in North Carolina to donate, to be a part of the events. They have events and community resources all over the United States. So make sure you go check out the Alzheimer's Association. Shout out to Meredith Willis, a friend. Thank you so much for being a friend. And just thank you for everything. Like I said, I mean, literally helped me get my first paying job. I'm glad I got to share that with you. But make sure you go share. Shout out to the Alzheimer's Association. Also, our sponsor for today, Lake Hickory Pub and Marina, where lake and life meet. Until next time, subscribe if you haven't. Subscribe on wherever you get this podcast, YouTube, Spotify, any other podcast platforms. But until next time, most importantly, live love, crochet. We out.